title of the text is the 5 skandhas. In fact, it covers 3 topics: the 5 skandhas, the 12 ayatanas, and the 18 dhatus. So if you know the Heart Sutta, for instance, those 3 formulations are addressed as being not self-existent or not real, not independently real. So they're sort of building blocks of the Abhidharma tradition. This particular text by Vasubandhu is, a very short work. It's just a series of aphorisms, which gives kind of the essential qualities of the terms in those 3 groups of topics. Sthirmati wrote a commentary on the overall work, and Sthirmati is an interesting figure because he is his way of writing is very sort of pedestrian, but very interesting for someone who wants to kind of unpack what these condensed works have to say. My interest in it derives from the fact that I was introduced to the Abhidharma material and was particularly struck by the Buddhist psychology. And it's been a lifelong interest in the sense that the descriptions of those psychological states, the so-called mental factors, are something that, properly understood, are a way of identifying them in your own mind, identifying them, isolating them, and then recognizing and eventually being able to sort of manipulate them in the sense of, reducing the bad ones and increasing the good ones. So, and that's something which for Westerners is very accessible, but very infrequently addressed by teachers. And I think that's a shame, because it's very rich, and it's something that can really make a big difference in your life, can be life-changing. So that's what interested me. And Sthirmati's explanation of those mental factors is the one that is the clearest, and gives you it gives you the ability to sort of put your fingers on what they're talking about as you go inward to examine your own mind. Personally, I have this interest in, and that is, we know about the 4 truths. That's sort of the bedrock of Buddhist teachings. But within the Abhidharma, understanding the 4 Noble Truths means, in particular, understanding in the 2nd Noble Truth all the mental afflictions. In the Abhidharma and the Hinayana Abhidharma, depending on the system, Sarvatsavara, there are 98 forms of the mental afflictions. And then there's a whole theory about how you get rid of them sort of progressively. That represents one model. Then you have the Yogacara view of what not only those mental afflictions are, slightly different in the Yogacara text, but then you have the other series of obstacles, which are the obstacles to enlightenment, and how you get rid of all the different levels of those more subtle obstacles. And then on top of that, then you have the Madhyamika version of that, which, based on the difference between the Yogacara idea of what reality is versus the Madhyamika view of what reality is, you get a different take on how what in fact the most subtle obstacles are, and how to get rid of them. So if you were able to put together those 3 sort of, presentations of in a very sort of, doctrinal way, it's also very interesting to kind of look at how do you interpret what the whole path process is about. So there you get a very clear distinction between what the so-called Hinayana path is about and what it's removing versus Maya.